What's up, everybody? Trinity here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about and reviewing the Batman Warner Brothers latest installment into the Batman franchise. Now, one thing that I know that you and probably many other people have been asking themselves is, do we need another Batman movie? Can they do something new with Batman already? And I gotta be quite honest with you. I think they can. I think they could do new and different things, but for the most part, it's always going to feel all the same, right? But that's just if you ask me. I mean, you got Batman in Gotham City tracking down bad guys, being a detective and all that stuff, using cool toys and everything. And that's kind of it, just being a masked vigilante in the night, being vengeance, and that's just kind of Batman, right? Like that's the general feel of the character. I mean, his parents were killed when he was a kid. It happened, and he's upset, and he's going to go out and become a detective and become the greatest detective ever, and fight crime in Gotham City. And so, yeah, sure, there's not, I mean, but you can still do cool things within that little bit that you have to work with. You can still, they've done it for years, right? They've done it for years. And I think that's one of the things like I kind of like about this movie, and one of the things I don't like about this movie at the same time. Now, spoiler alert for the rest of the video. I thought the movie was pretty good. I liked it. I had a good time. Now, Matt Reeves, I thought, did a pretty good job directing this movie. I mean, there wasn't anything in this movie I was like, yeah, like I felt like it was a director's job to do something better with, just from what I was seeing. I mean, cinematics and all that stuff. I mean, you're kind of getting just, your traditional. Just a movie here, right? I mean, there's nothing groundbreaking in this movie, and that is perfectly fine. There doesn't have to be anything groundbreaking. You're not trying to change cinema, and you're not trying to change this character, which I like, right? I like that. Now, getting all that out of the way, I mean, I think the actors did a good job. The score to this movie was really good as well. But then getting into the movie itself, right? That's what it's really about. Getting into the movie itself. How was it? I know one of the things a lot of people were talking about going into this movie was the Riddler we got here. He's got that whole man, what is that whole BDSM vibe he's got going on, right? Well, here we kind of get introduced to the character eventually in this film. Things just kind of start happening. It really starts off that way, and you don't really get a whole lot, and they slowly build it, and that's kind of cool. I mean, but over 3 hours, I mean, that's you really kind of slowly building something here. But then you see all kinds of different things kind of happening along the way, all the character interactions, and just the building up of everything in this film I thought was done really, really good. And I liked Gotham City. Gotham City seems to live in this place in the world where it is modern but still feels very throwback. Like, you see all the like modern things in the world, but then you look at like the cops, they're still wearing their cop jackets, the big old badges and hats, and like they're like cops from like the front. Like, I don't think these cops ever existed, but they look like they're like from the 60s, maybe the 70s, right? Like, that's how the cops look. And so, I mean, but then you get into Gotham, it's kind of got that same feel to it as well. Like, this is a city that is kind of alive. It's part of the story in every movie that you're gonna tell, right? I mean, it really, I really do feel that it's like that. And in this, you kind of get that. And it's not really different, it's not really new, but it's a little bit different than something we've seen before, but nothing new. And that's the thing here with this movie. Again, nothing new, but maybe a little bit different. And that's also the other thing is, I think this movie was really good, and not because like it's changing anything, and because it's not a breath of fresh air or anything like that, but it's just a different air out there with this movie as opposed to what we've got in other Warner Brothers DC films here over the past handful of years. And it's not connected to this bigger universe, which I think is a good thing. It's building a world within itself, which they did in this film. So I thought that was really cool. You know, we got introduced to a few bad guys along the way. We see the violence in the city. We see just kind of all of those themes going on as the world was opened up to us here. We got introduced to Selena Kyle, Catwoman, and just kind of her involvement with everything. And we got Colin Farrell in here playing the Penguin, and I still don't see it. I still don't see Colin Farrell there. But Zoe Bell Kravitz coming in and doing Catwoman, I thought did a pretty good job here. Playing this role. I know she's been in other superhero roles and things before. She was like in that X-Men movie. And I thought she did a pretty good job in this film and portraying this character. And here's the thing, like, you know, going into this movie, you know, you hear all those interviews and things from actors, and you hear all this stuff, like, you know, remember there was that interview where she's like, oh, I'm not doing a sexualized version and all this, like, whatever it was. I remember people being upset about it, but you get into this to this movie and you see like, oh, like, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, she looks pretty good. She wears, you know, provocative looking outfits. She goes and does kind of Catwoman stuff. I mean, I don't know what you mean. I mean, is it the haircut? Is that like some people are into that, and some women look good with short hair. So like I don't know what that was all about. Like I said, you know, I think a lot of people do the things, you know, it's the press thing, right? You gotta get some press, so they say whatever, however they feel. Like, because the thing is, I think they don't really know, right? Like the directors just tell them, like, look, stand here, do this, do your thing while doing this, okay, right? But you gotta be this character. And and I don't know, or maybe they interpret the things differently, but like I don't know, I didn't really see it. I thought that she did a good job in this film. And again, getting back to Colin Farrell as well, I didn't see him in this role at all. Obviously they had prosthetics and stuff on him, and you know, but like altogether, like I didn't really see him at all in this film, like really in this role. So good job there. And I thought him being the Penguin, you know, I thought he played a pretty significant and great role in here. I mean, in this movie, they introduced us to a lot of Batman villains. Now, the movie also starts off really, really funny in like this kind of good but cheesy way about introducing Batman and how he's of the night. And you see all of these guys going out there, you know, like committing crimes, and they're all running in terror because they think that he's hiding in the shadows coming after him, the Batman. Then you see these guys on this subway. And here's the thing. You know what? I gotta say something before we move on here. Warner Brothers, they're doing it constantly. I know they did this on purpose. Can we stop the Asian hate? Was this a slight against Zack Snyder? Where's the Snyder Bros at? We see that there is a guy, and you know what? And also, this actor right here. What is his name? Aki Kotabi. Can this guy get in a good situation? I seen this guy in the movie getting ready to get jumped off of this subway, and I was sitting there. I had flashbacks immediately. I knew where I seen this guy's face before. This is the guy from Falcon and Winter Soldier who got killed by Winter Soldier. Man, he just can't be in the right place at the right time, can he? Stop the Asian hate. We get into and we see some of that kind of stuff, and it's kind of cheesy. And then as they're sitting there jumping, and you hear like these footsteps. And it's like this kind of big buildup, and then all the bad guys like, oh, and then, you know, Batman steps out of the shadows. You know, it's like, okay, but just everything kind of goes down. You first get him, he's all suited up. He looks cool. I know everybody probably feels the same or the exact opposite about the cowl. Like the nose thing, it really didn't do it for me, and it looked just shaped a little bit. It's whatever. The rest of the suit and everything was pretty legit. I liked it. And that was the other thing. Robert Pattinson. I don't know. Did he work out for this role? I doubt it. He looks like he probably keeps in that kind of shape that he was in this movie most of the time anyway, you know? Like, he probably put on a couple of pounds of muscle, and then he's probably like, yeah, I'm not lifting weights. That's toxic. We get introduced to the character, you know, we meet Alfred, and I swear there for a second we seen him start to sparkle in that one scene in the house. Did he not? He was starting to sparkle. But we got Andy Serkis in here as Alfred. I thought he did, I don't know. Was this Alfred? Was this Alfred No, it was Pennyworth. Right? It was Alfred Pennyworth. And what's with this thing too? Like, does Alfred have a butler now? What are we doing here? What's going on there? But anyway, so we see just kind of the way they built everything, and over 3 hours, you've got a lot of time to build a lot of things, and they did that through the course of this movie. I thought they did a pretty good job showing a lot of aspects of a lot of these, many of these characters, or enough of that. Especially like Batman showing him being a creeper and everything, and it's like, okay, like he's being, but he's also not trying to be a creeper, right? Like he's certainly trying to be. He's not trying to be like a sicko. And you can also kind of set him sitting there looking at the situation and thinking like, like maybe he like feels bad for Selena Kyle and seeing everything that's going on here, and that's kind of why he's interjecting himself anyway. But like you can see, he's like man, like it kind of boggles his mind and thinks like, man, like he's thinking about what could he do, but it's like, if I just could take care of somebody's problems by paying their rent or by getting everybody out of poverty, does that really save them? Like you can see like some of the things that Robert Pattinson did here, and that's the thing. Robert Pattinson, again, good job here. But you can kind of see these things. That I feel like these are the things that he's thinking about, because I feel like that's what Batman is doing, spying on people, being creepy and weird, yet at the same time probably being judgmental. Also being of the mind like, what, people are people, and that's just like that's the like, people are what they are, and you can't necessarily save them unless they're willing to save themselves. I can only beat up bad guys for you. I can only beat up thugs. And again, good stuff. We also see Commissioner Gordon, Jeffrey Wright, right? Like, and here's the thing: is like, I like Jeffrey Wright, man. Jeffrey Wright is a good actor. Right? Like, the thing I remember Jeffrey Wright from most is Shaft 2000. Remember, he's like, I'll never forget. He's like, I'm people's. Remember, he had the ice pick and he's sitting there all stabbing himself. Dude, I'll never, like, that was great. Christian Bale was in that. Like, Batman was in there as well, and Nick Fury. Who would have thought, right? But anyway, Jeffrey Wright in here as well, I was about to say commissioner, but he's not there at this point. What is he, detective? Is he Detective Gordon at this point, or is he like, I don't know all the police. Anyway. But we see him in here. He's starting to work with the Batman. It looks like this is probably like year 2 of the Batman. Is year 2. And you see him bring Batman into this crime scene, and which is really cool later, because you see like later he's got these little contacts that he puts in that records everything, which I think I've seen like technology out there where they've been working on this kinds of stuff anyway. But you see Batman out there, he's got the little contacts, and he's really looking at everything when he goes into this crime scene. And he's at this crime scene where the mayor had got killed. I believe this is the mayor trying to get reelected. I think he was trying to get reelected, maybe. And he was there investigating the crime scene. But it's great when you walk in there, because like I said, you see these cops. They're all like 1960s with their uniforms and everything. And he's walking in, and like the other cops are like, what are you bringing this guy here for? Like, and they're like, freak. It's like in that Rob Schneider movie, like, freak, behemoth. And he's walking in there, and you just kind of see like the cops don't really like him, and they're like, dude, what is this? And he's there investigating the crime scene. He sees the kid there, that and he starts to feel for him, there at the crime scene, because like he kind of went through the same thing when he was a kid. He was orphaned as a child, which is something that comes up a little bit later. But anyway, you see him going through doing all of that stuff, just kind of doing his Batman thing, going through these characters and everything. I thought it did a really good job. Again, not the best movie in the world, and it's nothing new. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's just a different air. Right? A different, like I said, it's not fresh air. It's not anything like that, but it's just a different air with this film. And I thought it did pretty good. Everybody, once again, Paul Dano. We didn't get a lot of him in this movie, but he certainly looks the part of a crazy creeper who has a TikTok following of, hey, and I gotta shout out this one. Hey, shouts out to 507, right? Anyway, chances are you're watching this video, you probably don't know. But the thing is, we've seen he, he got caught, he goes to prison. Along the way, we meet all the other characters. John Turturro in here being Falcone, just and all the little mob things going on throughout this here. Peter Sarsgaard, it's not Skarsgård, it's Sarsgaard or something like. He's not one of the Skarsgårds, but you know what I'm talking about. But him in here, he was like the DA. How was he the DA? And they're all like just everything that was going on here. Yeah, I mean, again, nothing new, but it was good. I think everybody did good at playing their parts throughout this film. At no point was I really bored during this film as well. I think my biggest complaint is Batman seemed a little emo, and they used that very emo music in here a couple of times. Like, I don't know who that is. It sounded very emo and grunge bandish, and I'm not into that. But altogether, I thought the movie was pretty good. All the actors in here did a pretty good job portraying these characters and building this world. I do feel like the Riddler was, I don't know, like I'm sitting there like, and I'm not really super familiar with Batman and all his characters from the comics, but like I was sitting there kind of like, I feel like this Riddler is a little bit more Victor Zsasz. I mean, it just seemed like, I don't know. It just seemed like it was kind of an amalgamation. Like it's like they did that MCU mystery meat thing here. But I thought the movie itself was pretty good, well acted, nothing new, nothing groundbreaking. Just a good film doing the things that I think it needs to do for new audiences, even for old ones as well. And I'm sure that there's plenty of people out there that aren't going to like this film. And believe me when I say, I get it. There's plenty of people out there that are going to love this film. And believe me when I say, I get it. This film, while nothing new, nothing groundbreaking, in the things that have been coming out over the last few years, it's nothing new. It's not a breath of fresh air. It's just a different air. You don't have all the high glitz and glamour and quippy one-liners and cheesy comedy of the MCU, or even what they started to do with the DC EU. You just got a film here building its own little world with its own little characters in here, and hopefully building out from there, maybe into a sequel within this same world, which the way this ends up, way possible, and obviously on their minds as they figured this movie would do pretty dang good, and people would like it. And I think that a lot of people will like this film. I liked it, but let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. I mean, am I wrong here on anything? I mean, like, it's not the greatest. It's not the greatest. It's nothing new. It's just something a little bit different out there from what we've been getting out of a lot of these superhero movies. But thank you all so much for being here today. Again, my name is Trinity. Thank you so much for being here at the 2nd Street Marvel. If you're not already, please make sure you subscribe and click the little bell and all those things that YouTube tells me to tell you to do, because it's good for the channel. It helps get more views and all that good stuff, because that's what we all want, right? More views. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. You all have a very good day, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.